Okay. All right. Well, hello. Welcome again to another Curator Live, a Curator chat here. I'm just going to wait for a moment for folks to join in, and we'll get started. All right. Let's see here. Okay. And I think we're good. I think we're live. So thank you so much for joining in. I'm going to show you some really, really cool stuff here today. And so let's dive right in it. Let's check it out. Happy Monday to everybody. I hope everyone is doing okay and holding up okay and staying safe and healthy. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you, this is really, really cool. It's a eagle cane head that belonged to James Monroe. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hi, Nate. And I'm going to see if I can get this a nice close-up view into the camera. All right, so if you could see this, can you see that? Okay, let me get a little bit closer, I think. This is James Monroe's eagle cane head. And I'm going to turn it around really slowly. Just really, really slowly. It's a handcrafted from ivory with hollowed cavity. I'll show you the cavity on the side to fasten a wood shaft. It's a finely carved American eagle cane head. It belonged to James Monroe. And this carving, it's a highly stylized depiction of a female bald eagle, right? And she, let me see if you can see it. She's perched on her nest with 4 eggs, and hopefully you can see it there. Perched on a nest with 4 eggs, and her talon is detailed with meticulously carved feathers, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. And it's firmly gripping the top of the tree, and her expression here is one of fierce protection. And here, let me show you a close-up. All right, I have a close-up of it. So I took my little nerd microscope, and I did no, that's not it. And I did a close-up of the eagle cane head, so you can see it a little bit better. So there's the close-up right there. Can you see that? Look at that expression. Yeah. So she is protecting her eggs. That is American eagle protecting her eggs. So something that's kind of cool about it is that, okay, so on July 4th, 1776, so it was actually really early when the Continental Congress had formed its first committee, right, to figure out what the national seal would be. So you can imagine we're at the start of our country. The very beginning we declaring independence. We're getting ready to go, and so they're like, well, what do we need a seal, right? We need a great seal. So they formed a committee in 1776, July 4th. And, but unfortunately it took 6 years to sort of process. It took 6 years and several iterations to get to the symbol of the American eagle. And again, let me hold this up. Let me hold this up so you can tell. Can you see that there? And so finally in 1782, it was a Secretary of Continental Congress, Charles Thomson. It was Charles Thomson. He's the guy that actually sort of finalized the design. There's a lot of input, of course, from a lot of different people. And there's actually 3 separate proposals for the Great Seal to hold the eagle inside. And there was a lot of input from scholar William Barton, our good friend William Barton. He had a lot to do with it there. And and as the American eagle sort of became the symbol of the United States, it became sort of increasingly associated with American culture, with the American stance. You started seeing it pop up in a lot of different designs. You started seeing it in sword handles. You started seeing it in other seals of other places, and of course, so it became a popular thing. So of course, here's a carved thing here, and it's sort of interesting that in the beginning of the design, when you see a lot of eagles in the early part of America, in the early like in the late 1700s, really early 1800s, the eagle was sort of, if you see a lot of the symbols, they were a little bit, some of the eagles a little bit thinner, a little bit not quite as robust. And I'll give an example of that. For example, the Society of the Cincinnati, which was formed in 1783, their symbol, was one of the early depictions. So this was just like a year after the eagle was adopted officially as the seal of the United States. Yeah, Nedra, mother bird always protects. That's right. And so if you watch this, right, you see that the seal, or if I printed out, this is a copy of the Society of Cincinnati. This is their symbol. If you look at the seal, it's a little bit thinner, right? The neck looks a little bit thinner. you know, it's not quite as robust looking. It's an early depiction. In fact, to me, it kind of looks like Rodin, you know, so, you know, where's Godzilla? Sorry about that. So, you know, but as it went along, the eagle becomes more robust and more, you know, more American as we think of it. And so that kind of tells us that this eagle, you know, would have been a little bit later. It's one of the clues that can tell us. It's not the defining thing. One of the clues that can tell us. So it's a little bit later because you see this eagle is very robust. And again, let me show you that close up. Where is my close up here? Because I just love this. Let me show you this. Look at the detail on that. See, that's a close up. Can you see the scale? The scale difference? Let me turn this. Look at this. Look at the scale. Look at the difference of that. Think of the craftsmanship involved in making this. This is all done by hand, folks. This was not, you know, modern equipment, you know, with all the stuff, you know, this wasn't a cast or pressed out in a factory. This was all carved by hand. And you can see, like, you can see the individual feathers. You can see the eye. Look at the beak coming around and everything. And this is for one single cane head. I mean, that's incredible if you think about the craftsmanship that went into this. Something that I've been asked a lot about is how do you tell the difference between ivory and bone? Well, that's a really good question. In some ways, they're similar, of course, you know, but there's sort of fine little details you can tell the difference. Bone, I printed this out. Bones are used for a lot of things, but if you look at bone, okay, if you look at a close-up of bone, you can see that there's a lot of pores, right? In the bone, bone is very porous. It has these sort of little tiny holes and it's a little bit lighter that goes into it. And so a lot of cases, whenever a craftsman is, say this was made out of bone and the craftsman was carving into here. Oh, hi, Mike. And the craftsman was carving into here. At the surface of the bone, you may not see as many of the holes or the porousness of it, right? But as the craftsman carves into the object and sort of defines it down and details it down, a lot of these holes, let me show you this again. A lot of these holes are going to be revealed, and so you can kind of see that in a lot of cases. If you're looking at a handle or you're looking at some other object that's made out of, you know, say the cane head is made out of bone. If you look closely, you're going to see that there's going to be pores. Usually you'll be able to find it somewhere in some little details. So that's one way to tell. It's usually a little bit lighter. Ivory it's harder to tell because of the detail of this, but ivory has this interesting sort of wavy marbling that goes on in the ivory that if you look closer, bone is going to be a little bit, for lack of a better term, a little bit lighter, a little bit whiter looking, you know, that sort of thing. So, and ivory tends to carry with it this sort of interesting off beige patina a lot of times. So anyway, that's one way that you can tell the difference between ivory and bone. And so I'll tell you this sort of story. Okay, so you think about, again, let me show you. So you think about walking canes, right? And you think about, you know, the care that went into walking canes. Walking canes were an accessory a lot of times for a well-dressed gentleman during Monroe's lifetime. You know, Monroe himself owned several. This bald eagle head probably would have been likely on a shaft of hickory or oak. In fact, okay, this is super nerdy, but if you look closely, you can see there's an acorn on there. And the carvings, the acorn to me looks a little bit like swamp oak. So, okay, that's super nerdy, but it looks to me like swamp oak. So so this might have been a depiction of a swamp oak, which is kind of interesting when you think about DC. You know, food for thought. So it's interesting, you know, the little details that sort of go into it. But contrary to popular belief, most canes probably wouldn't have the sword inside. You think about it. You know, so the default thing whenever you think of old canes is like, oh, I'm going to pull the sword out and dispense Jack the Ripper in the alleyway somewhere. Not really. You know, most of them didn't, although I will say occasionally that did happen. There was a thing that did happen. But canes could theoretically be used as a personal weapon of some kind. And in fact, Monroe had personal experience with this. And so I'll tell you a story about that real quick. Okay, so James Monroe, right? He's in his office. And, you know, he's the president, you know, I say he's really, nerdy as cold. Thank you, Ninja. Thank you very much. So James Monroe was in his office, right? And the Secretary of the Treasury, who is named William Crawford, okay, William Crawford and Monroe, they never really quite got along. You know, they kind of butted heads a little bit occasionally. And Crawford came into his office and he asked him about some government appointments that he wanted for. This is Crawford speaking. He's talking about some government appointments that he wanted for his friends. And Monroe replied to him that he hadn't made up his mind. Okay, he said, "Well, I haven't quite decided yet. Whether Monroe was delaying or not. Who knows." So Crawford sort of replied in a surly tone. That, well, you better not dilly-dally, So Crawford kind of was being a little bit, a little bit indignant there. And so Monroe quickly admonished him, this is the president. What are you doing? You're in the president. You're in my office. And so Crawford then waves his hand. He took out his cane and he waved it sort of in a sort of threatening manner and called the president an infernal scoundrel. Ooh, yeah. He called him an infernal scoundrel. So, of course, the president immediately leaps to his feet. And what I'm reminded of, okay, the thing that you have to keep in mind, so Monroe, he was a 6-foot war veteran, okay? And he was still in relatively decent shape. If you look at paintings of him, even later in life, he wasn't decrepit. No, he wasn't decrepit. So, Monroe leaps to his feet. And it kind of reminds me of, like, has anyone ever seen Star Trek 6 where there's, like, the old Klingon general? He sort of like, revives himself and like kind of comes back into the fold. I can just see it like Monroe, like this old war veteran, like kind of getting the blood pumping again and sort of popping up. And so Monroe pops to his feet and, he's like, excuse, what do you say? What kind of thing? And, and so of course Crawford sort of backs down a little bit and, Monroe, it's true, Monroe actually grabs fireplace tongs. All right. So the Monroe actually grabbed the fireplace tongs and pulled it out. So you have Crawford over here with his cane, and you have Monroe with fireplace tongs. You see these two older gentlemen, just kind of leaping to their feet. But it calmed down. It sort of relaxed a little bit. Crawford did apologize, and Monroe said to him, "Well, sir, if you are sorry, then I'll let it pass." And the two shook hands and sort of ended the episode. But there could have been quite a little bit of thing there. It sort of recalls do you remember what I was talking about last week? Or no, it was 2 weeks ago. When I was talking about the sword and how the necessity of the sword, that it's possible you might come to an actual fight, like a real life death fight, even in the high political offices back then. It was a real thing. It could actually happen. And it's certainly a case of one that didn't go anywhere, but it very likely might have, very, very possible that it could have. So anyway, I wanted to show you this cane head, real quick. This is Monroe's. All kinds of interesting thing with the cane. Okay. All right. So, let me show you another couple things here. Let me pull this up around. Okay. We're going to switch gears a little bit. Okay. Here we go. There we go. Now, what is this? Okay, so this is Elizabeth Monroe's slipper. This is her shoe. There it is. And this would have been about 1804, 1807 in there somewhere, in that time period. This is a very empire style, it's made out of silk. And you see these straps, it's got these straps that kind of come up and around. And on the bottom, if you can see on the bottom, that's leather there. So it's got a nice leather bottom right on the sole of the shoe. And then it's got the silk up around the top. What's interesting about this is, this is a ballet style shoe. Yeah, Brittany. I was like, hey, Tara, how are you? This is a ballet style shoe. What do I mean by that? Well, exactly what you think. I mean, this wasn't used for ballet. Like they weren't, Elizabeth Monroe wasn't going to do ballet in the middle of the court of Napoleon, although that would have been absolutely hilarious, but I don't think she would have done that. But yeah, Chris, exactly. It looks like a ballet slipper, and that's true. And it's very much stylized after that style. That sort of very sleek, very slender look. This is very much an Empire style or a Regency style. Some people wonder what's the difference between Empire style, Regency style, Neoclassical. Well, there's sort of the Empire style is talking about the Empire of Napoleon, that time period. And it's basically the same thing with the Regency period. Is talking about the Prince Regent the Regent in England, and so they're basically talking about the same time period. Same thing with neoclassical. Neoclassical period is around you think of that. A lot of the styles are they align a lot, and time wise. So anyway, so this slipper here, or this shoe here, is very, very popular with ladies in both Europe and both the Americas. You see a lot of the paintings from that time period. I'm talking about early 1800s, where you see these shoes, this style. When you think of Jane Austen in that period, you think of that. There you go. So that's about as Jane Austen as you get. There you go. That's right there. Full out Regency. So let me show you this in comparison. So this shoe here. Okay, I wanted to show you this because, okay, you see this shoe? You can see that. This shoe here is older, right? This one is going to be an older period. This is going to be the late 1700s, and it's got the wood heel here. It's a little bit. It's a silk embroidery going up around here. And you see the difference, right? Okay, so this shoe it's higher. It's a little bit. There's a little bit more going on with it. This one more likely would have belonged to Elizabeth's mother, her time period. And so you see the difference. Let me hold up both here. Okay, if you see the difference, let me turn this. They're both going the same way. Okay. This is older, and then this is newer, quote unquote newer. So you have the newer shoe and you have the older shoe. So this is like, well, this is what my parents' generation wore, and this is what I wear, so it's kind of that kind of thing. You see the difference, how radically that changed. I mean, that's a radical change, right? I mean, that's a lot of difference. It's sort of an interesting phenomenon. If you look at like both the 1920s and you look at the 1820s and the 1810s, you see this radical shift in look. Like for example, in Elizabeth's time period, when she's over in France and the turn of the century, up to the 1820s and everything, the dresses become sleeker, right? They become a little bit, there's a little bit less going on with them. You don't have those crazy, crazy patterns with the huge bustiers going on. You don't see that. It starts to refine. The same thing with the shoe, right? The shoe is a little bit sleeker, it's a little bit more refined. And isn't that amazing? And so you think about kind of the interesting comparison with the 1920s, where what happens in the 1920s, right? You had the flapper movement, right? The dresses in the 1920s started getting sleeker, more refined. They didn't have to wear those crazy corsets anymore. You started this radical shift in styles, and so the same thing happened. So it's kind of curious to see what in our 2020s, if there's gonna be another kind of radical shift in the way that we dress and everything. I mean, granted, 2020 is not exactly off to the best start, but hey, we have a whole decade, so we must have hope. We must be hopeful. So anyway, let me show you again. So the older style here. This is the late 1700s, or this is going to be the late. This is more Elizabeth Monroe's whenever she was over in France, and while she was here in America too. A lot sleeker, a lot more refined. So it's just kind of a cool contrast, sort of a cool little thing here. Okay. Oh, let me talk about. Okay, so let me see if I can find here. I have another shoe for you. One more. And this one is an older one again. Okay. Again, look at that. That's an older piece. This would have been more Elizabeth Monroe's mother's time period. Again, you have that high heel there. You have the heel there. It's made out of wood. This is actually leather. This is not silk. And so you see again the difference. Let me hold up the newer version, the newer model. So you had that radical shift in styles, and I just think that's fascinating, and how it shifted so much. There was a lot going on. There's a lot of changes happening in society in that time period. You had started having the rise of the Industrial Revolution. It wasn't quite in full swing whenever this shoe was made, but it was starting to rear its head. More industry. There was more science, more information. Transportation was starting to rise. You started having the first steamships in the early 1800s. so there's just sort of this radical awakening and radical shift of sensibility, and I think sort of the fashions are reflecting that. And that was true with the 1800s in James Monroe's time period. His time period of public life was through that whole period. Oh, hey Bob, nice to see you. And the same thing happened in the 1920s. You had this sort of radical shift in society that was already happening. Of course, you had more cars were being made, right? Airplanes were being manufactured on a mass. So World War I had ended. And so you had this radical shift in society. And that is interesting. We're having a sort of a radical shift in society right now. Food for thought. It's interesting. Think about that. See, history's not dead. History is very much alive. And history is not something that is separate from us. Okay? It's not something that's separate. It's something that is happening and we are a part of right now. Literally what I just said early in this broadcast is part of history. The replies that you are making is now technically history. So it's not something that's gone. It's something that we were just flowing. It just depends on how far away and removed you are from it. And you never really truly are. So it's exciting to see how these things, they sort of go around. Okay. So let me review. Thank you for all coming in. Once again, I have an eagle cane head. There it is. This belonged to James Monroe. Highly stylized, highly carved. And again, for folks just joining in, the committee to make the official seal of the United States with the eagle was formed in July 4th, 1776. And it took them 6 years to finalize the results. And eventually, Charles Thompson, he was the guy that sort of finalized the design, although there's a lot of input for a lot of different people. And so the eagle was incorporated into the Great Seal. And that is, one of the reasons why the American eagle is such an associated symbol with us and why you see it in a lot of the designs in the 1800s and absolutely to this very, very day. So you see this in Eaglehead, and then you see a guy walking down the beach, with a cut-off t-shirt that says America rules and there's an eagle on it. There you go, See, history's not removed. We're all part of it. Okay. And then, once again, ballet slipper? Or a ballet shoe? Or ballet style shoe. This is not an actual ballet shoe. This is a ballet style shoe. Silk. Belonged to Elizabeth Monroe with a leather sole. Sleek, refined, about 1807, 1804, around in there somewhere. And compare and contrast with the older shoe. Here's the difference. Okay. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate it. And once again, we have a lot of stuff on our Facebook page and our YouTube. Please give it a like if you can, share, and do all this stuff. And once again, everyone be safe, be healthy. Thank you so much for joining in. If you have any questions of anything, you can go to our website, and my email is on there. We're all working remotely, as you all are. And thank you so much. All right, we'll see you again. Bye.